Good afternoon, YouTube. This is Pastor Lavelle Jennings here again from the Gazebo Talk. And today I have the pleasure of introducing Brother Joe Lindsey and his son, and we're going to give some history. In a few minutes, I'm going to allow them to introduce themselves because we know that God is good and giving us this opportunity to be able to give the history from people that's been in Ottawa and Baldwin a long time. So stay tuned and we'll bring you right back. Would you introduce yourself?
Joe L. Lindsey, Sr.
Okay.
I'm Eric J. Lindsey. They call me EJ.
EJ. Okay. Well, here we go. When I'm going to start with Brother Lindsey. Would you like to be referred to as Joe Lindsey or Mr. Lindsey? Or what would you say?
Joe Lindsey is good.
All right, Joe Lindsey, because everybody knows you at that. How long have you been in Baldwin or lived in Baldwin, or when did you come up here?
In 1966.
1966.
Correct.
Did you have cleaners at that time?
No.
Or business at that time?
When I first came up here, I didn't have the business at the time, but I worked for a company called Blue Ribbon Dry Cleaners in Ludington. And then the following 3 years after that, I bought the business out, and I maintained the business up until 2018.
Wow.
When help was hard to find, that's when I closed my business.
But
for
you
50-something years, yes.
But you worked in Ludington. You worked under somebody in Ludington before you got it.
Before I bought the business, I worked for this gentleman, for a couple of years because he was tied up with a company that I was working in Cincinnati, Ohio with.
Okay.
And the supply peoples out of Detroit told me but it's a good place in Ludington for me to be interested in buying. But I worked for this guy, and after I worked for him, he was ready to move on.
Yes.
That's when I bought it.
That's amazing. That's amazing.
3 years after.
So did you have, at that time, you seemed like you were financially able, did you just buy it down outright, or you just had to make payments on it and stuff to get it?
Well, down outright, I had some business in Cincinnati, Ohio. So I sold everything in Cincinnati, Ohio, and invested in Ottawa and Ludington.
That is amazing, sir. That is amazing. Everybody I think when I came up here in '85, when the Bears won the Super Bowl, I know it was that day because my mom said, we're leaving Chicago and coming up here. So I started in high school. How many siblings do you have?
I have three girls and 3 boys.
3 girls and 3 boys, or children. Okay, all right. Now you're the son. What do you fall in line as far as?
So I'm the one before the youngest. So I had a younger brother, younger than me, and then all my 3 sisters and older brother.
Okay, all right. So it seemed like you're at home with your dad, and are you helping out your dad and mom, or you just decided to?
Yeah, I come back every summer. I live in Los Angeles.
Los Angeles.
So I come back every summer to help out with my dad running the property. We have the Lindsey's Park here, so
okay.
help him run doing the programming here during the summer.
Let me talk about the Lindsey's Park. This is called what park? What's the name of this park?
Well, matter of fact, this was behind us here was the Old Paradise Club.
Old Paradise.
Yes, and then what happened with this rename it Lindsey Park because we had been here for 50, almost 62 years.
62 years.
Yes, and we bought the historic house across the street.
You bought it too?
Yes.
Okay.
That is owned by the Wilson, and then this piece of property here came up on a tax roll, and I said since we own the historic house, and when it came on a tax roll, then when I kind of said, well, you know what? I don't care what it takes. That we is not going to have anybody coming across the street that we will not have access to the lake.
Beautiful.
So that's when I kind of used my finance this place.
So you basically made a statement saying that you're going to make sure it's available.
Correct, for to stay historic.
That's beautiful.
Yes.
That is beautiful what this man and this family is doing.
Yes.
You mentioned something about was it a building over here before?
Yeah, this is the where the Paradise Club used to sit.
This
Paradise
right
Club,
here?
Right here where we're sitting.
Okay. All right.
So you can talk more about that. This is the
yeah.
Paradise Club with all the
Yes.
historic
I wanna hear
peoples
about
and entertainers, Della Reese and the full top.
Right here.
Tell them about
I thought that
right
was on the
this
beach over
no,
there.
No, that
That
was
was right here. A lot of people get it confused with the
Yes.
Paradise Club and the Flamingo.
Yes.
The Flamingo Club was over there at the beach on Williams Island.
Okay.
But the Paradise Club here is where a lot of the top performers performed here. So you had Sammy Davis Jr., Della Reese, the Four Tops, all of them, they performed right
Wow.
here at the Paradise Club.
That's a difference.
Oh, big difference. Big difference. So after that, there were distinctly two different clubs.
Okay.
So Idlewild back in its heyday had a lot going on. Those were the two large clubs, but then we had a lot of bars, a lot of smaller clubs.
That's amazing.
And restaurants, lots of restaurants as well.
Lots of restaurants. Was it right along here, the restaurants, right around this area?
It was all over Idlewild.
Yeah,
My
all
dad
over.
worked at a lot of them.
Yeah,
Worked at a lot. Okay, go
yeah.
ahead.
Number one was, let me set the record straight on
Please.
something. The Paradise Club was the club that brought all the top entertainers here. When I first came, I worked for a while here, and what was happening with the all top entertainers, they're having two shows. And Arthur Brass is a person out of Saginaw, Michigan. And then they figured out they're bringing the good top entertainers. So they had the first show here, and then the first people that he brought up here, then they went to the Flamingo Club. Wow. So Flamingo Club was getting the top entertainer from the Paradise Club, and and then we had two shows over here. And then at midnight shows start at 10:30, 11 o'clock at night. Start at 7 to 11,
7 to
then 11:30 until 2 o'clock. They was here. But the long story real short, the top entertainers, this is the reason I learned about Idlewild. I was in Ludington, and all the people from Ludington would tell me, Joe, you haven't been to Idlewild? They got the Paradise Club. Just to be for real, when I first came, I was in Ludington about a year and a half before I came to Idlewild.
Okay.
When I came down that one time, I've been here ever since.
That's
For
amazing.
almost 61 years now.
Wow.
Yeah.
And see, and I've never heard that.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
And another thing what I was going to mention early, that the reason we sitting in this spot right today because this place went up for auction.
Okay.
And when it went up for auction, something happened in our township. They wanted to get it converted back to the township, but I said, you know what? Let's make things fair. Put it up for auction. Let the best person get it. So I wound up getting this place, and I was bidding against 5 more people who's not my color.
Okay.
So
all right.
I
You
said,
can
the
say
good
it.
Lord bless me.
Okay. Praise
So
God.
and I feel happy. When I come sit here like now, I feel real good.
That's good. And
Yeah.
let me and we can say certain things on YouTube
Yes.
and that. So you was bidding over, was it 5 white people?
Correct.
And I can see around this area now that it seemed like there was a lot of black-owned businesses around that time that you were around.
But what happened when I came up here, it was a lot of black-owned business. But what happened to Idlewild, soon as the integration bill passed, everybody took off. They deserted. I used that word before, they deserted Idlewild.
Okay.
And then that's the reason the Lord blessed me. So when they deserted Idlewild, I began to buy a lot of property, and I hold it off, and I started selling it back to the black folks.
Okay.
So I've been doing that for the last 40-some odd years.
That's amazing.
So this is the reason I feel happy about what happened.
Yes.
If I have my life to live over again, I do the same thing.
What about Ludington now? Now I live in Ludington now. 'Cause I
Yes.
was in Chicago.
Yes.
And then of course I came to my parents brought me to Baldwin, and then I moved to Ludington. I've been there about 19 years. It's mostly predominantly white.
Correct.
Did you have any kind of problems with getting any property because of your color?
Well, number one is this. When I went to Ludington, understand, I went there because the biggest supply person of the state of Michigan introduced me to Ludington.
Okay.
And by the knowledge I have, understanding the dry cleaning, he said something to me, Lindsey, I was living in Cincinnati, he says, Ludington would be a good place for you. He said, because people running stuff, but they don't really know what they're doing. So that's the reason, and when the place came up for sale, I packed up I got my family and everything, we moved to Ludington.
Yes.
And the Lord have blessed me, went there for 53 years in the business.
53 years.
Yes, and let me say this
Go ahead.
before I finish.
Go ahead.
And the thing was not that easy, but I'm out of the state of Mississippi. I know how to deal with all kind of problems.
Yes.
And what I'm saying is, you hear things and you don't hear it.
Yes.
You're in there on a mission.
Yes.
You take care of your mission, take care of your business.
Okay.
And my motto and my thing is saying to people, keep your nose out of other people's business
There you
and take
go.
care of your own business, and you'll be all right. You can live forever.
Let me ask you this. My dad,
Yeah.
he passed away, of course, over 20 years
Yes.
ago. But he used to tell me that he was back in the day. He didn't have much education. I mean, he didn't even pass the 4th grade because of the way it was back then. He had to support his family,
Yeah.
10 kids. but he knew how to cook. He was in the bars and restaurants, and the family business became the carpentry business, fixing stuff, and he knew how to cook.
Yeah.
So back in the day, did you have much education?
Yeah, I came out of high school.
You did graduate high school?
Yeah, I came out of high school and got married. Understand, my wife understand. She came out of high school, we got married in 66. In the last 1966, and last week on July the 15th, we celebrated our 65th anniversary.
Praise God. Praise God. You got to, man, you're pretty you're pretty good on the memory, and you got the dates. You must have been, this man didn't even study before. I just came today.
Yeah.
And he's got that.
Yeah.
That's amazing, man.
Facts.
Let me ask you, man. Now, you didn't grow up in Baldwin, or did you?
I did.
You did. Okay.
I was born in Cincinnati, Ohio. When we moved here, we didn't move to Ludington. We moved here to Idlewild.
Okay.
So that was one thing.
You're correct.
And I went to Baldwin High School.
You did go.
Yeah,
Okay.
I was raised here. I was raised right in the house across the street.
Did you experience any kind of prejudice or racism or anything?
Not really at the time we were going to school. Well, there were some instances.
Okay.
Because when they showed Roots, I was going to school.
I remember that.
I was going to school at Yates. So
Yes.
they had the high school, of course, was in Baldwin.
Yes.
The middle school was here in Idlewild. And so during that time, I was the only racism that we kind of witnessed a lot of was just during that time because no one really understood the difference because we all grew up together.
Okay.
Period.
Well, I got to say this because when I came up here, I do remember back, even in the 80s, and my wife, she was born and raised up here. And she did say that every year they showed Roots as a film in the school for, I guess, some history. Of course, they don't do anything like that. And I think they're making a mistake by not showing the history here. But at the same time, in 85, I went to an all-black school in Chicago. When I got up to Baldwin, it was whites and blacks together. And I said, wow, I didn't know this place existed like this, that everybody, so whoever broke the ice, I don't know, because you was back, like I said, I'm in 85 and you're talking about before the 80s, right?
80, right in the 80s.
So yeah, somebody must have broke the ice before I got up here.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Okay,
Yes.
so we're talking about now, so you wouldn't have been around in 68, would you?
Oh no.
I know you,
Oh
okay.
no, I was.
Yeah, he was.
So
I don't normally tell my age.
That's all
But
right.
yes, I was born during that time.
All right, because
And thank you for thinking
Ah!
a lot younger than that.
well, here we are.
Yeah.
Brother Joe, here we are. So around that time, when Martin Luther King, and I asked everybody on this podcast, got shot,
Yes.
what was the atmosphere like? Because you was around this area, evidently.
Now, I was in Ludington when
Okay.
the civil rights marching over Patterson Bridge and everything. But let me say this.
Go ahead.
But I knew exactly how to play the game. So everyone at Retton, I thought I was just running the business for somebody else. They never knew I owned it. The name of this place was Blue Ribbon Cleaner. I never put my name, no brand on it. So they figured I'm just another black guy that's working.
Yes.
And actually, as a matter of fact, up until about 4 or 5 years ago, someone came over in this spot here and said, oh, I remember you. You're the guy who used to run the cleaner, used to work at the cleaner in Ludington.
Yes.
You understand?
Yeah.
And I just sit back and I said, oh yeah, I'm the one. And then my son, I think he says, oh, he owned the place. Remember that?
You ruined it for him. Go ahead.
But it was okay.
Yes.
Let it be known.
Yes.
See, and the pay have been made and
Yes.
the plans was there
Yes.
and the facts were there. And right now in the city of Ludington,
Okay.
the city of Ludington right now, I have a building on 411 South James Street.
Yes.
Understand? And it's a half a block building there, and therefore, and I was the first black person to own a business and a building. A lot of times you can own a business, but you don't own the
You
building.
know the building.
See, but my thing to make money, you need both of them. Own the
Yes.
business and the building, then you can be all right.
That's amazing.
But don't worry about your name is who, it's what you put out and what you produce.
Very good. Good
What
wisdom.
count.
Good wisdom.
Yeah.
You know what? But you that was very smart of him.
Yeah.
That by not putting your name or showing
Yes.
that you were the owner of it. And I'll tell you why, because I think about this, and it's a shame to say sometimes, but we live in a world where we got to be smart and intelligent. There's a time for everything. There's places that are in Ludington, beautiful houses,
Yes.
beautiful houses. And I was telling my wife, when God give me the money, I'm gonna buy one of them beautiful houses. But what I'm going to do, I'm going to have someone else buy it for me. You know what I mean? Unfortunately, because I think like that, and that's just the way the world is, because there are some places that will not sell steel.